Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Monday Mack. I am Matthew from the Mack Brothers. My brother John is not here right now. He is currently indisposed, and I currently have him trying to escape a Roman-style coliseum where 18 gorillas are trying to attack him, and 14 lions are also trying to attack him at the same time. So I wish John the best of luck, and hopefully he'll be here on Wednesday for the podcast. Today, we are going to be covering a couple new that I discovered, and also as well. To get right into it, the reason why I, or my brother, if you will go watch our other Monday Macs, feel as though we can share our opinions is because we just put out our new song called Drinkin In Work. Everyone should go listen to it, give it a shot. You can find our information on our YouTube channel or on any of our social media. Go on Spotify, type in the Mack Brothers, and Drinkin In Work will come up as our latest release. Give it a listen. If you like rock music or country music or drinking, you'll probably like the song. So, today I want to be covering today. It's not going to be necessarily a song by song. It's going to be a general discussion about one of my favorite albums that I was actually listening to over the weekend with John. Drum roll. Revolver by the Beatles. This is just such a classic album. We were listening to Sunshine on Saturday, and I felt so motivated by the album and just by the music in general that I just wanted to share some of my love for it today. So, Revolver was a 1966 effort from the Beatles that they really took their creativity another step above from where they had in 65 with, I'm doing all this off the cuff, so let's see what I remember and if it's accurate or not. In 1965, the Beatles released, Rubber Soul. It took me a second. They've released an album called Rubber Soul, and it really was a step forward for them. They were feeling a lot of competition from other songwriters at the time. Paul McCartney mainly, I think, felt some pressure from Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, another great album that maybe one day we'll cover on the Monday Mac. So Revolver, if you go track by track and you really listen to the Beatles during this period before Sgt. Pepper's, they had these two albums, Rubber Soul and Revolver, and it's like the invention of garage rock with a little extra. It's that concept of a four-piece band that now is starting to add these other extraneous elements, and they were really the first ones to do it how they did it. So a true innovation of an album. So the first song is a timeless classic. It's called Tax Man. So I don't care who you are, if you're red, you're blue, you're anyone. Unless you make enough money to take advantage of the tax code, the song's universal. You get taxed for fucking everything. You get taxed for air. You get taxed for whatever you're getting taxed for. This song is extremely relatable. It has scorching guitars. It has crisp drums. It has fat bass, at least on this remix. So the bass on Revolver was super thin initially until they did the remix of the album. And basically they cleaned up all the old tracks. They used the modern technology. Gilles Martin, son of legendary Beatles producer George Martin, he also has a lot of great classical efforts that I have not listened to that I should. So they put this album out. I think, to me, this album is kind of a competitive message. I feel they were just feeling very motivated, very inspired, which is incredible for a group of people that have been writing songs for the years the way they had, and they developed their chops all over Liverpool and England and now the U.S. by this point. And they were really exhausted from touring and not being able to hear themselves, and they threw themselves in the studio, and the effort shows. So I'm going to go do a quick little... It's actually the artist pick for the Beatles. If you go on Spotify, it's their artist's pick, is the Super Deluxe Edition of Revolver. So you go to song number 1, Taxman. Like I said, extremely relatable. I give Taxman an 8 out of 10. It's a great song. Some of George Harrison, or anyone for that matters, incredible writing. I should mention this is one of the most hugely influential albums ever. So if you're listening to this album in '66, it might sound like music from the future at that point, and it may not have. I'm not sure how it was received. I didn't look up what critical reception at the time was, but I always got the feeling that this album was probably pretty well received back then. Maybe a little like moot for some of the Beatlemania type fans that they had across different categories. But then you get into track number 2, Eleanor Rigby. A real flex for Paul McCartney being in his late 20s and just kind of, he has his way about him. He's Eleanor Rigby. And, supposed to be Father McCartney in the lyric. He wrote the song. I don't know. I think there is a story out there like how he actually wrote the song. I don't exactly remember, but I do remember the Father Mackenzie. It was originally supposed to be Father McCartney. I think after his dad, but he changed it because he didn't want it to sound too personal. I think he wanted it to be a little bit more ambiguous. The song succeeded. This is a masterclass of songwriting. It's less than 3 minutes. It's super easy to listen to. It's very digestible, and it is a extremely beautiful example of someone like Paul McCartney who started out writing goofy love songs, and now with a legendary producer created a wonderful song. I give Eleanor Rigby a 9 out of 10. Beautiful string arrangements. Credits to George Martin as well, who's just as important as Paul in the song. I'm Only Sleeping. What they did with this song was just so tremendous. The musical quality of it, the experimental nature of everything in the background that has become so standard now that it's very easy to forget that at the time this was a huge experimentation. This was a big leap for them to be doing what they were doing, for John to be doing a song like this. The song's about sleeping. It's a universally relatable song with catchy hooks, themes, everything that every other Beatles song has. The song does very well what other great songs do. It takes you to the place that it gives you the emotion, or really transfers the emotion that the writer wanted you to feel. The song is sleepy, and it's about sleeping, and it sounds sleepy, and it sounds tired. I give I'm Only Sleeping 9.5 out of 10. Great song. Love You Too. I think this was just, an early experimentation into Indian music. I'm not really into the song that much. Considering how many minds it may have opened, that's a great factor. I don't do my ratings based on... Maybe I should include cultural impact, but I feel like there's plenty of popular songs I don't like, so I have to remove that from my ratings system. So for me, I give the song like a 6.5 out of 10. 6 out of 10 maybe. I've maybe listened to it all the way through like 4 times, and it's not a song that really has stuck with me. But not trying to insult anyone that this may be their favorite Beatles song. Here, There, and Everywhere. A beautiful love song by Paul McCartney that was supposed to be written for Darlene Love. One of John Lennon's favorite Paul McCartney songs, ironically enough. This song is a half step up artificially done in the studio because Paul McCartney wanted his voice to sound a little bit more airy, a little bit more sweet, maybe a little bit more feminine on the vocal track. And I think he achieved that. I give the song an 8.5 out of 10. Beautiful song, and I love playing it and singing it. It is a very easy one to play and sing, and a beautiful song. Yellow Submarine, you go next, number 6. I don't think any musical acts should take themselves too serious. I think the best shows, the best songs, the best bands and the best people for that matter, are people that have a wide spectrum of emotions and a wide spectrum of things to offer. The Beatles were that musically. They had funny songs, sad songs, every song, every emotion under the sun. They just about have a song that can cover it. Yellow Submarine is just such a fun kids song. A real, again, leap in musical experimentation with Paul McCartney experimenting with backing tracks and experimenting with all those kind of funky sounds and vocal effects and all that stuff. A lot of that was John Lennon because he didn't want John Lennon to sound like John Lennon. He wanted to just alter his voice. The creative mind in the song's excellent. I give the song a 9 out of 10, just based on it. You hear it, and it's a very human song. It's one of those songs that, of course, the song was going to be written. If the Beatles didn't write it, somebody else would have came up with it. 9 out of 10, Yellow Submarine. She Said, She Said. Now, I love this song. The song's about a little drug excursion from John Lennon. I think he did LSD in a club and he didn't like it, so he went home right after and he wrote this song. And in the Super Deluxe, they actually have John Lennon's original demo, which sounds like the same kind of demos that John, my brother, my John, would write and show me. Like Minerva's a great example. That's one of our songs when we were the 1940s. He showed me Minerva, and it sounded very similar to the way John Lennon's home demo sounded. So that's just how songwriters do it, and they turn into these kind of really fun, great songs. She Said is John Lennon being like, as soon as she said, I know what it's like to be dead, I know what it is to be, like, making me feel like I've never been born, very ethereal, trippy lyrics. That freaked John out. He was like, I don't want to be a part of this. So he moved on from that, luckily. Unfortunately, he started doing heroin. Maybe LSD might have been a little better for it. I don't know. You can debate that with scientists. She Said gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Good Day, Sunshine. I don't have as... this song is a nice song. Good Day, Sunshine. I don't really know what it's about. It's a great example of Paul McCartney being able to write these happy, cheerful songs. Very show-tuney type of arrangement. But the Beatles, like I said, they had everything. I give Good Day, Sunshine a 7 out of 10. It's a very catchy song that I really like. A great example of Paul McCartney's pop... contemporary adult pop writing at the time. Next up, you have And Your Bird Can Sing, a self-described throwaway from John Lennon, was actually a diss track, I think, at Mick Jagger or Mick Jagger's girlfriend. Maybe John Lennon felt a little dissed by some people in their circle at the time. I think a part of him felt like the Rolling Stones and other bands, I don't know if they're necessarily copying us, but they're definitely going in the same direction. I mean, they were copying them, basically. I mean, all you got to do is, like, Her Satanic Mysteries is Sgt. Pepper's. And if Sgt. Pepper's doesn't happen, those types of things doesn't happen. But, with that being said, artists know that all artists copy, and that does not take away from the greatness of any other acts. But, John Lennon and all, they're looking at Mick Jagger and all them like they're second fiddle. So this song's kind of about that. At least maybe, the feelings you have as a young man, that might be how he felt. And Your Bird Can Sing is just like, oh, wow, how great are you? You're so great, and your bird can sing. And whoever you're with is also a singer. Wow, you must be so special. I don't think he regarded the song very highly. There's an amazing demo track of the Beatles singing this song after taking, like, laughing gas, and it's really fun. Personally for me, my most maybe top 10 most influential Beatles songs that I personally love. I just love the bright trebly guitar notes. This is a Strokes song before a band like the Strokes existed. They invented genres with songs like this, and they were considered throwaways. That's why the Beatles are so great. And Your Bird Can Sing, it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. For No One, a Paul McCartney song that he wrote at the end of a long relationship or a fight that he had, I think with maybe it was Asher, Mary Asher, Jane Asher, whatever the hell her name was. And anyone that listens to the lyrics in the song knows, and anyone that's gotten past a certain point in their life and dealt with relationships knows how universal another song is like this. Losing love or getting into a fight and seeing how, you could see different sides of people. I think that's what this song's all about. This song is such another beautiful example of the Beatles introducing external instruments other than guitars, bass, and traditional four-piece drum kit into their music style. The horn on it, the horn solo, the French horn solo, by the horn player who did it. He said it's his greatest moment in his recording history, and he was a prolific session musician. So that's saying something. Another special song on a very special album. The song gets a 9 out of 10. Paul McCartney does an excellent, slower acoustic rendition of it. It's like Give My Regards to Broadway does it live. Worth checking out on YouTube. Yeah, thank you. I Want to Tell You is like every song that Tame Impala may try to write and then get a little to experiment with before they ever did that. I always felt like George Harrison wrote cool songs. Like, I feel like if you're an indie Beatles fan, this is like one of your favorite Beatles songs. Um, Definitely a song that's underappreciated. Definitely a hidden gem. I want to tell you, I give that another 7 out of 10. Props to George Harrison. He had some great songs on this album. Got to Get You Into My Life. This is another 7 out of 10 for me. Um, some of the Paul McCartney songs, I think for Paul McCartney fans that love Paul McCartney, songs like this are great. And, everyone has that feeling when they meet someone. They're like, this person, like, you can feel the energy coming out of the song. I got to bump my grade up. This is a 7.5 out of 10, easy. This is an 8 out of 10. Are you kidding me? Just the vocal performance alone. I didn't have too much time to think about Got to Get You Into My Life, and I haven't. But that doesn't take away from hard to reconcile the fact that it's very easy to be have an argument against something that's really good. It's like almost popular to not like these songs because they're all so good, and they are such great examples of pop writing and songwriting. But you can't a good song's a good song. And Got to Get You In My Life's a good song, so that gets an 8 out of 10. The next song is probably, if you were going to give someone a history of music, if you were going to explain to an alien what music is and how did music get to where it is, you would show them Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles. It is an absolute landmark track in recording history that is so sonic and so otherworldly that for someone like me, it's very important. And I get it's a very special piece of music history that's even beyond the song. This is obviously an automatic 10 out of 10. And there's probably other songs on this album that should be maybe 10 out of 10s upon further review. But I feel like the best part about Revolver isn't because maybe Tomorrow Never Knows is a bit like a day in a life type of situation. But on certain albums, there's a song that stands out, even on amazing albums, at least as far as to the broader public. Like Achtung Baby had one. That's a U2 album. That had a song that stood out. There's albums that are definitely like that, where some of the songs are actually better than the album. Revolver as an album is better than any song on the album. As a piece, as a collective, as a moment in time, it's timeless. This is a 10 out of 10. This whole album's a 10 out of 10. It checks every box that you could want to check. Intelligent, dark, ethereal, somber, sobering, emotionally riddled, scars all over the album. It's not perfect. That's what makes it perfect. It breathes. It's human. And I think I maybe saw someone else do a review for the Super Deluxe Edition. If you're someone that says, I'm a fan of all music, I like everything, you can find a song generally on any given day from Revolver that you would want to listen to, because that's how wide it is, that's how expansive it is. So while not every song is a 10, the whole album is 100% a 10, because the sum of the album is definitely greater than the parts of the album. And that's not saying there's not some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful parts. Everything makes this album run. So Tomorrow Never Knows, I obviously give that song a 10 out of 10. Go listen to it. It's ridiculous. You should also go listen to our song, Drinking in Work. I want to give a little shout out. I don't really have reviews to these two new songs, but since it is Monday Mack, we do cover new songs a lot of the time. I will say, when we do them solo, it's a lot more fun to do maybe an album I like or talk about something like that. But then on the same breath, it's also fun to cover some new songs that I may have discovered this week. Nick Shoulders, Whooped If You Will. This song's got some yodeling in it, and I actually really like this song. So I'm giving this song like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. I think it still has to grow on me. Nick Shoulders. I like the album art. I like the vibe that he had. I like the image that he has. I think it's cool. So I'm gonna roll with Nick Shoulders, Whooped If You Will. and I'm going to give that a 6.5 out of 10. So that song is in my rotation. Really, anything above a 6.5, a 7, is goes in my Spotify like songs, and I listen to it frequently. Um, then you also have I gotta find it. It's a Willie Nelson song. You left me a long, long time ago. What a cool little concept for a song. I think the concept of the song and what the lyrical meaning is I may like more than I like the actual song itself, although it's a nice song. But this is just another slow Willie Nelson piano ballad song. It's a 6. It's above average. And he gets an automatic point for being at his age and doing what he loves and putting that out into the world. It's always a beautiful thing. I give this song, obviously, 6 out of 10, like I just said. It's a nice song. I think the song's about you can still be with someone, but if you mentally checked out, then you really left them a long time ago. An interesting concept that maybe is not thought about enough in our day-to-day lives as we just drift on the social media highway and the algorithm. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Go listen to Drinkin In Work. That's our song. That's a reason why we think we can have our own opinion and share it. It's because we share our music, we share our creations, and you can give us your opinion on that any way you want. We're all over social media. Come talk with us. Thank you if you are newly subscribed. If you've made it this far and you're still watching, thank you. If you like the video, like it. If you want to subscribe and hear more, subscribe. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, and to everyone, take care of yourselves.